as the leaves began to turn brilliant shades of crimson and gold. I could feel the familiar chill in the air. Fall was my favorite season, and I couldn't wait to immerse myself in its beauty before winter's icy grip took hold. One crisp October morning, I decided to take a long hike through the dense woods that bordered my home. The forest was a mesmerizing mosaic of colors, and the fallen leaves crunched beneath my boots with every step. The smell of damp earth and decaying leaves filled the air, and I reveled in the sensation. As I ventured deeper into the woods, a strange stillness settled around me. The birds had stopped singing, and an eerie hush enveloped the forest. I brushed it off as a quirk of nature, but a shiver ran down my spine. I pressed on, eager to savor every moment of this glorious season. Hours passed, and I realized that the sun was sinking low in the sky. Panic began to gnaw at me. I had lost track of time, and the woods seemed to have grown darker, more sinister. I quickened my pace, trying to find my way back home. But the forest played cruel tricks on my senses. The trees seemed to close in around me, their branches forming gnarled, skeletal hands that reached out to grab me. I could hear whispers, unintelligible and chilling, like a chorus of lost souls. The autumn leaves now rustled with a sinister intent, and shadows danced in the corners of my vision. The temperature plummeted, and my breath formed frosty plumes in the frigid air. I knew that something was terribly wrong, that this fall day had taken a nightmarish turn. Desperation welled up within me. As I stumbled through the ever-darkening woods, finally, I burst into a small clearing. In the center, there stood an ancient, gnarled oak tree. Its branches were bare, and the moonlight cast eerie, elongated shadows. At its base, a hole in the ground beckoned me, a darkness deeper than the night itself. My heart pounded as I realized that I had no other choice. I stepped into the hole, and the ground closed in around me. I was trapped in a claustrophobic underground tunnel, roots and dirt pressing in on all sides. For hours, I crawled through the suffocating darkness, terrorizing thoughts clawing at my sanity. At last, I emerged, but I was no longer in the same woods. The fall had given way to an eternal, bone-chilling winter, and I was trapped in a desolate, frozen landscape. In the distance, I saw a figure, a pale, gaunt specter in tattered clothing. It beckoned me, and I had no choice but to follow. My love for fall had led me to this icy nightmare, and I would never escape the haunting beauty of the season I once adored. And so, my tale is a warning to all who love the fall season like I did. Embrace its beauty, but beware the hidden horrors that may lurk beneath its colorful veneer. For in the heart of the season, one may find a chilling darkness that can consume even the bravest of souls. As Halloween approached, my young daughter, Lily, and I were brimming with excitement. Carving pumpkins had become our cherished tradition, and this year, we were determined to create the most spine-chilling jack-o'-lanterns our neighborhood had ever seen. On the eve of Halloween, the full moon cast an eerie glow, setting the perfect stage for our spooky creations. With giggles and anticipation, we sat in our dimly lit kitchen, armed with sharp knives and a variety of pumpkins. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, as we carved intricate, menacing faces into the orange orbs. But as the night wore on, strange things began to happen. The wind outside howled with an otherworldly ferocity, rattling the windows. The flames in our pumpkins leaped higher and higher, casting unsettling shadows that seemed to move independently. Lily's innocent laughter turned into uneasy whispers as we carved. "Mommy, did you see that?" she asked, her voice trembling. I turned to see her pumpkin's eyes shifting, as if following her every move. Nervously, I assured her that it was just our imagination playing tricks on us. However, the sense of unease in the air grew thicker, and a cold draft swept through the room, extinguishing the candles in our pumpkins. In the sudden darkness, a blood-curdling moan filled the room, as if the very walls were groaning in agony. Panic set in as we fumbled for a flashlight. When its beam pierced the gloom, we saw our pumpkins, now transformed into grotesque, twisted faces, leering at us with malevolent glee. Terror gripped us as the pumpkins began to levitate, circling the room with an eerie, spectral glow. They chanted in a ghostly, incomprehensible language that sent shivers down our spines. Lily clung to me, her tiny hands trembling with fear. Desperate to escape, we made a run for the door. But it slammed shut before we could reach it, locking us inside the haunted house of our own making. We were trapped with the possessed pumpkins, their laughter echoing through the room. With trembling hands, I reached for the flashlight, casting its beam on the cursed pumpkins. They froze in midair, their evil faces contorted in anguish. I shouted at them to stop, to release us from their sinister spell. Slowly, the pumpkins descended to the floor, their faces returning to the carvings we had made. The room fell silent, and the door creaked open, allowing our escape. We fled the house, leaving the sinister pumpkins behind, and never returned to carve another pumpkin. Halloween had taken on a chilling dimension we had never imagined, and the memory of that haunted night would forever haunt our family's celebrations. Fall was always a special time for me. I couldn't wait for the leaves to turn their vibrant shades, and for the air to carry that crisp, earthy scent. As a young boy, I cherished every moment of the season, especially the day when our class at school decided to create fall decorations for our homes. Our teacher, Mrs. Turner, led the way, guiding us in crafting beautiful decorations from colorful construction paper and dried leaves. I chose to make a leaf garland, and I meticulously strung the leaves together, feeling the nostalgia of the season wash over me. As the school day drew to a close, we admired our handiwork. The decorations were truly stunning, and I couldn't wait to show my family. I carefully packed my garland into my backpack, eager to bring the spirit of fall into our home. However, as soon as I arrived home and proudly presented my creation to my parents, I noticed something odd. The leaves on the garland seemed to shimmer and shift, as if they were still alive. My parents laughed it off, attributing it to the changing light in the room that night. I hung the garland by my bedroom window, excited to have a piece of fall with me as I slept. But as I lay in bed, a gentle rustling sound filled the room, and the leaves on the garland began to sway on their own. It was as if the fall spirits had entered my room, terrified. I tried to remove the garland from the wall, but it clung tightly, refusing to be taken down. I watched in awe and fear as the leaves continued their dance, casting eerie, shifting shadows across my room. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room, soft and whispery. "Thank you for bringing us home," it murmured. I couldn't see anyone, but I knew the voice came from the garland itself. The leaves began to swirl in a mesmerizing pattern, creating a portal of sorts. It beckoned me to step through, promising to take me to a world where fall was eternal. My heart pounded, and the allure of the unknown overcame my fear. With one hesitant step, I entered the swirling vortex, leaving behind the world I knew. I found myself in a realm of endless autumn, where the trees bore leaves of every hue, and the air was forever crisp and invigorating. I spent what felt like a lifetime in this enchanting place, experiencing the beauty of fall in its purest form. But as the days turned to months, I realized that I missed my family and the life I had left behind. With a heavy heart, I returned through the leafy portal, finding myself back in my room. The garland once again a simple piece of art. I had been gone for mere moments, but the memories of my extraordinary journey would stay with me forever. However, something had changed. As I looked out my window, I saw that the outside world had been transformed. The once vibrant fall colors had withered into a grotesque, eternal autumn, where the trees were twisted and skeletal, and the air was thick with an unnatural, suffocating chill. I was trapped in a nightmarish version of fall, where the beauty I had once cherished had turned into a haunting, unending horror, and as I stared out into the desolate landscape, I knew that I could never truly escape the sinister clutches of this twisted season. Working the night shift at the local grocery store was a mundane and monotonous task. I never enjoyed it, and fall was the worst time of year for me. As the leaves changed their colors and the air grew colder, I couldn't shake the feeling that winter's icy grip was just around the corner. One chilly autumn night, as I stalked the shelves, I heard a soft, distant whisper, like a haunting echo that sent shivers down my spine. I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the unease lingered. The store's flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shadows across the empty aisles, and I felt like I was being watched. The next bizarre incident came when I was in the frozen foods section. A sudden blast of icy air chilled me to the bone, making my breath visible. I turned to see my own breath, and I couldn't understand how the freezer's door had opened on its own. It shouldn't have been possible. As the night wore on, strange occurrences became more frequent. Carts rolled on their own down the aisles, and canned goods flew off the shelves as if hurled by an invisible hand. It was as though a malevolent force was playing tricks on me. In the darkest hours of the night, I decided to take a break in the employee lounge, hoping to escape the unnerving events of the store. I turned on the TV to find solace in its comforting glow. But instead, I was greeted by a static-filled screen that suddenly displayed a cryptic message. "The darkness is coming for you." The message sent a chill down my spine, and my heart raced. I desperately tried to change the channel, but the remote refused to respond. The voice of a child, cold and emotionless, emanated from the TV, repeating, "The darkness is coming for you." I fled the lounge, my heart pounding in my chest. The strange events in the store had taken a sinister turn, and I couldn't explain any of it. I knew I had to leave, to get out of the grocery store, and escape the malevolent presence that seemed to be closing in on me. But as I reached the store's exit, the automatic doors slammed shut with a deafening thud, trapping me inside. I frantically pulled on the doors, but they wouldn't budge. It was then that I noticed the lights dimming, and a suffocating darkness enveloping the store. A chilling whisper echoed in my ears, "The darkness has you now." I turned to see a shadowy figure, its eyes glowing with an eerie, malevolent light. It reached out with bony fingers, and I could feel the oppressive weight of the encroaching darkness closing in around me. In that terrifying moment, I realized that I would never escape the grip of the impending darkness. The season I despised had become my eternal prison, and I was condemned to endure its sinister, unending torment. Harold, an older man who was about to retire, had always cherished Halloween. It was a holiday that brought children out into the neighborhood, and he loved watching the youthful energy as it reminded him of his own carefree childhood. As he prepared for his retirement, he decided to make this Halloween special. He dusted off his old trick-or-treating costume and joined the kids as they went door to door. His presence added a touch of nostalgia to the festivities, and he couldn't have been happier. But as the night wore on, strange things began to happen. The neighborhood took on an eerie atmosphere. The street lights flickered, casting long, twisted shadows that seemed to reach out for the children. The wind whispered sinister secrets, and the air grew heavy with tension. As Harold walked alongside the kids, he noticed that some of the houses were unusually dark, their front yards devoid of decorations. The children grew wary, but Harold urged them to continue, assuring them that it was all part of the Halloween experience. When they reached the house at the end of the street, things took a sinister turn. It was an old, decrepit mansion, shrouded in darkness. The children hesitated, but Harold, fueled by nostalgia, insisted they ring the doorbell. A piercing scream echoed from inside the house, sending shivers down Harold's spine. The door creaked open, revealing a figure in tattered clothing, their face hidden in the shadows. A voice, cold and hollow, whispered, "You should have never come here." Terrified, Harold grabbed the children and fled from the house, his heart racing. They ran down the street, the darkness seeming to chase them. When they finally reached the safety of their neighborhood, they realized something was terribly wrong. The houses were no longer the ones they had left behind. The streets were different, and the atmosphere was thick with an unnatural dread. A sense of foreboding filled Harold as he looked around, realizing that they were in a place That was no longer part of their world. The children huddled close, and the figure from the decrepit mansion appeared before them, its face still hidden in the shadows, with a sinister grin. It said, "Welcome to the realm of forgotten Halloween. Here, every night is All Hallows Eve, and you shall remain forever, just like the memories of childhood that never fade." Harold's heart sank as he understood the gravity of their situation. They were trapped in a nightmarish version of Halloween, and the season they once cherished had become a never-ending torment. The darkness had claimed them, and they were doomed to relive Halloween's horrors for all eternity.